Is DeAndre Hopkins the best wide receiver in football?
DeAndre Hopkins believes he is the best wide receiver in the NFL. This morning on ESPN, he said, and I quote, "I definitely think I'm the best. I know I'm the best." So I brought in Zach, and we're going to kind of talk about this. Zach, what is your opinion? Is Hopkins the best wide receiver? Let's get straight to it. Is Hopkins the best wide receiver in the NFL?
No.
No. Okay, so who is then?
Do you want my biased or unbiased?
And don't say Allen Robinson. We're Bears fans. So do not just give me your unbiased thoughts.
Like my actual report, not reporter, but sports fan.
Sports analyst,
fan.
Exactly. Who's the best wide receiver?
Michael
Thomas.
Thomas.
Ooh, okay. All right. So what are you saying that because of his stats and the fact that his receiving yards, his catches, and all that, or?
I mean, granted, it's hard to always say who's the best because you have somebody like Hopkins Hopkins I'm pretty sure is taken pretty high in the draft and everything, and at that point then he has shitty quarterbacks throwing him the ball, subpar quarterbacks, compared to Michael Thomas, who wasn't a high pick and then all of a sudden came up to it and had Drew Brees.
Exactly.
And so it's hard to say exactly. It's not like another sport like baseball or basketball where you could truly say this person is the best, because football, it all depends on football's a true team sport. Exactly.
So in case anyone was wondering, Hopkins has had 10 different quarterbacks in Houston, which is ridiculous to think about. Like Zach just said, Drew Brees having Michael Thomas comes in. He's not expected to be like this star wide receiver. Has Drew Brees, turns into an absolute stud. Now, in my opinion, you can maybe argue it stats-wise he hasn't shown out that much the last couple of years, but I also think that's just the way they guard him now. It's Julio Jones. I think we saw the same thing with Calvin Johnson. Towards the end of Calvin Johnson's career, once people realized how good Calvin Johnson was, he was getting double, triple teams, safety help constantly. So for me, I still got to give it to Julio. Thomas is incredible. I need to see, again, I want to see Thomas do it. Drew Brees retires after this year. If Thomas comes out and does his thing, after that, he has my full respect. But
but Michael Thomas did it with Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater is a good quarterback. How much did Teddy Bridgewater get? Teddy Bridgewater's, again.
Deshaun Watson's a good quarterback. Julio has had Matt Ryan throw to him. Matt Ryan's a good quarterback. I just think Michael Thomas, he has the hands. He can run the routes better than Julio runs routes, in my opinion. And Michael Thomas's hands are parallel. Julio can jump up and has that height and everything, but if you got that 3rd and 5 and you want somebody running that slant route, that's how I look at it to find out the best. 3rd and 5, last play to get in field goal range to win the Super Bowl. Who do you have running that quick little slant route? Michael Thomas. He's catching that ball. He's not dropping it.
I just don't think we've had enough sample size from Michael Thomas. How long? Julio's been in the league, 8, 9, 10 years now? Thomas has been here for half that. I don't even know how long Thomas has been in the league. Again,
4.
If you look at
4 or 5.
Julio Jones' stats, I'm going to pull it up right now. I'm going to pull up Julio Jones' stats when he first came in the league, and I just want to compare it. Again, I think Michael Thomas is on some type of record in terms of his stats. I know I read I think he passed, was it Antonio Brown? Or he passed somebody for the most receptions in the first 3 or 4. How many years has Thomas been in the league? I'm sure you can find that out.
4 or 5.
So Julio's first year was 2011, which is crazy. He's played 126 games. God damn it, 1,800 receiving yards in 2015. But I guess what I'm trying to say is Julio Jones, like you said, is Matt Ryan, which is incredible. And DeAndre Hopkins, who else has a case for this in terms of having shitty quarterbacks? Is Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald has been dealt with shit quarterbacks his entire career. I understand Hopkins' point, but Fitzgerald can make the same point.
Yeah, Fitzgerald, I wouldn't say he's the greatest receiver. Larry Fitzgerald, he's literally he's that oh my gosh. He's a great he's a great wide receiver, but it's just I wouldn't consider him one of like the greatest right now, just because he's more of that like chuck down like
you'd say he's top
net.
5, right, of all time. Statistically, it's hard to argue that.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, like obviously you have Jerry Rice, you know, number 1. No one's gonna surpass Jerry, but
okay, I would say Larry's in my top 5.
Okay, fair
time,
enough.
yes.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, this is such an interesting debate. It's funny because, you know, for me, the longest time, it was always Julio Jones. This was a couple years, like a few years ago, or Antonio Brown. Obviously, Antonio's not in the league anymore. And, you know, Michael Thomas has came up and just absolutely destroyed. Is there anyone else that you put in this conversation right now? Or are they kind of, you know, on their own level?
I'd say, I mean, I don't consider Julio in the conversation anymore.
Don't do that. Don't do this to me, Zach. All right, let me just let you know. Let me let you know. Julio Jones has eclipsed 1,400 yards in his last 6 campaigns. Last 6 years, every year. I mean, he goes under the radar. He's still putting up 1,400 yards.
Because nobody else is there for Matt Ryan to throw to.
Calvin Ridley.
1 year.
Calvin Ridley's been in the league, I think, 2 or 3 years now.
Okay, 2 years.
Michael
Thomas has been in the league 4 years. Okay? Yards per reception, 11.7. Every single year has been above 1,100 receiving yards. Each year, he has increased his yards for the year.
I just think I have not seen enough from him. I need to see a bigger sample size before I'm fully invested on the
Michael Thomas. 470 catches out of 602 targets.
Okay, if we're gonna talk about catches, we can look at Larry Fitzgerald.
That's less than 200 drops in 4 years. Like, that's just outrageous in my opinion. And like Larry, that's what makes Larry Fitzgerald one of the top 5 all times, is the fact that Larry is able to do all of that without dropping any balls. Like, I think we were talking about it. Larry has more tackles than he does dropped balls.
That's an incredible stat. It's an unreal stat. It'll be interesting to see. I wonder, you know, Michael Thomas is somebody that likes to talk a lot on Twitter, so I'm sure, I think him and Hopkins are friends, so I'm sure he'll have a comment. Julio kind of stays out of the limelight, so I'm sure he won't really say much. But it'll be interesting to see, guys. Again, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments what your opinions are. Thank you so much for watching, Zach. Thank you for coming on. And until next time, we'll see you guys soon. Peace.
Extra men on the rush. Ryan steps through it, throws on the run, and Jones with a catch.